Welcome to FRC Media News for Thursday, May 26, 2016. I'm Keith Tebow. On this week's show, we have news about the expansion of the Flint Neighborhood Association, details of an upcoming music festival, and a suggestion on how to enjoy Fall River's nature trails within the city's borders. But first, let's start off the show as we do week in and week out by looking at the headlines of the week as we are joined by Will Richmond, the digital news editor at the Fall River Herald News. Will, welcome back.
Thanks, Keith. How's it going?
This is definitely a day we should do this outside. It's the first warm weather day we've had in a while. It was beautiful yesterday, nice today, and hopefully we're in a good stretch of weather coming up as we head toward the unofficial beginning of summer this weekend, Memorial Day. So, as always, thanks for joining us. Let's get right to it. Let's first, we've talked about quite a bit over the past few weeks dealing with the school committee and the fiscal 2017 school budget. Well, the school committee this week finalized its version of the budget that it sent to the city, a total of $137.9 million, which is higher than the spending plan last year. Based on the net school spending figure that's going to be set for this year of $135.5 million. It's actually higher than that figure. For people who don't know, talk about how this process unveiled, and I guess what are the prospects of this number, 137.9, actually making it to fruition?
Well, it would seem that that number will not appear to be the number in the municipal budget. While the school committee does vote on what they believe the appropriation should be, it's mainly a symbolic vote based on their best wishes for the mayor to include in the budget. Ultimately, the sit-in mayor, in this case, Jazel Correa, has ultimate authority over the budget. He will allocate what he feels is the proper number that fits into the total budget amount, including the municipal side. Correa has said he will commit 100% of net school spending, but even at this point, that number seems to be elusive as we go back and forth between the school department, the city administration, and the Department of Education to finalize past practices, what may be owed in net school spending from past years. The unfortunate part is it doesn't seem that number will be known by the time that the mayor has to submit his budget to the city council by Tuesday. So just what the final number will be, it would seem to be a little closer to the $133 million number that was initially identified for 100% of net school spending. But what the final number will be, we'll have to wait and see.
Well, the mayor has committed to spending to 100% of net school spending. It's just, again, as you said, what is that number? As I mentioned earlier, that number appears to be, by some accounts, $135 million. The mayor is looking at a $133 million number, which was the net school spending number for this current fiscal year of FY16. So, as you said, the mayor is scheduled to release his budget next week. I'm sure we'll be talking about that next week at this time. Just one other issue in terms of the school department, Will. It was announced that the search committee for the superintendent of schools for the city of Fall River have now identified 10 candidates for that position to replace Meg Mayo Brown, who's leaving at the end of this school year. And actually, those names will be put forward as part of an interview process. So there is some progress there.
Yeah, there were originally the 19 applicants that had submitted by the deadline. The search committee has narrowed that down to 10 candidates, all with urban school district experience. They are not saying if there are any internal candidates, and at this point the names do remain sort of sealed away only to the search committee's knowledge. So those 10 candidates will be interviewed in groups of 2 over 5 days in June. Those sessions will be closed to the public, but once the final group of finalists are announced, those interviews would take place in open session.
Is it still the intent of the committee to have a new superintendent by July 1?
I don't think the advertisement for the position, I think, identified April 1st as a start date with the caveat or sooner if available.
You meant August 1st.
August 1st.
You said April. I'm like, they're late.
August 1st, you got it. So, I mean, there may be an overlap period here where an interim superintendent could be needed for some time during the summer. unless the selected applicant is able to pick up and leave and, walk right into the position on July 1st.
All right, there's always that transition, especially if someone's coming from another school district. They need to make sure that what's going on in that school district is in good hands before that person leaves. So it's understandable that there will be some sort of an adjustment period. Let's shift to the City Council and back to trash, where this week the City Council passed on its first reading an ordinance which will, in effect, get rid of the trash fee that was instituted by Mayor Sam Sutter. The vote was 6-3. And normally on the first reading, you will expect that to also be the same type of vote when it comes to the second reading, which will be in a couple of weeks. So it looks like the trash fee here in the city of Fall River, which Mayor Correa had said he wanted to abolish, looks like it will be abolished.
Yeah, the trash fee appears to be on its way out. The mayor's office and the financial team has said that they will provide full transparency in how those revenues will be recouped in the upcoming fiscal year budget. So that's something we'll be waiting to see with the budget release as well. And then in addition to the fee being the first step in the fee removal taking place, the committee or the council also voted this week to eliminate the sanitation enterprise fund.
Right.
So a lot of movement in the Fall River trash talk this week.
So they kind of go hand in hand. Has there been any indication on how many residences or owners of residences have been fined with not using the pay-as-you-throw system here in Fall River?
There is not. We have made some inquiries to the mayor's office regarding those numbers. From what we hear, they are optimistic about the numbers that have come out so far. Seems to be a good compliance rate, but we haven't been provided any actual hard data on where that stands at this point.
Was there any indication? I'm interviewing the reporter. Is there any indication on whether the city will give a timeline on when they may release some of that information, or?
I think they do plan on giving out some numbers. It's just a matter of them collecting all that data into a presentable situation and then presenting it to the public.
All right. One final City Hall issue this week. The mayor's chief of staff, Chris Perino, announced his resignation from the office yesterday. Only been on the job for a little over 5 months. It seems like that when it comes to filling the positions in the city government, the mayor's had a little difficult time. Obviously, he was questioned over his appointment of Mr. Perino to that position, and also the mayor's been under fire over his initial hiring of a new director of the DCM. So not smooth sailing in terms of some appointments to city government positions. First of all, what do you know about Mr. Perino's resignation?
At this point, we haven't been given anything firm in terms of the exact reasons. They indicated in a press release yesterday that he was leaving to explore other opportunities, kind of a blanket statement for someone when they leave a position. So, we have our City Hall reporter, Joe Good, has been poking around trying to dig up or find out a little more information on that situation, but nothing solid at this point to say what the exact reason is. As for the other positions, the DCM one seems to be, there hasn't been a lot that has gone very smoothly with the whole trash situation to this point. DCM position being one of those layers. So I think as a whole, almost more so than the personnel issues, but the trash issue has been its own problem, which wrapped up DCM as well. Right.
And all of this always tends to come back to the city budget. And as we said, the mayor is expected to release his budget by June 1st, which is, as you said, next Wednesday, June 1st. So we'll have to find out what we see next week, and I'm sure that may be dominating our conversation 1 week from now. All right, Will, what do we have coming up in the Herald News over the next few days?
Well, we'll have full coverage of all of the Memorial Day events taking place throughout the area. So we'll be in all the towns between Saturday and Monday covering different events. And on Sunday, we've got an interesting look at two of the city churches, one that has taken a modernized approach to the ringing of their bells, and another that kind of took a step back in time this week and held a Latin Mass. So a little bit of the yin and yang of the Fall River churches.
So like old and new in some respects. All right,
Yeah.
Will, have a great week. We'll talk to you next time.
All right, take it easy, Keith.
We'll have more FRC Media News right after this.
Here are some positions on the newest hot job list for the week of May 23rd through May 29th. Business Office Assistant, job number 736-4137. Certified Nurse Assistant, job number 734-5252. Breakfast Lunch Cook, job number 729-5889. Inventory Specialist, job number 736-3994. Outpatient Clinician, job number 736-4310. Senior Research Associate, job number 733-0108. For more information, visit FRCmedianews.org or call the Fall River Career Center at 508-730-5000.
Welcome back. At a news conference this week, Mayor Jaziel Correa, along with Flint Neighborhood Association President Carlos Caesar, made an announcement to add streets to the Flint Neighborhood Association's coverage area. Here's more from Mayor Correa.
Good morning, everybody. Very exciting news today. Very happy to announce that we're going to be expanding or have expanded the Flint Neighborhood Association district, and we're going to go over the map in a second. But this is truly a great effort that was obviously led by the neighborhood president, Carlos Caesar, who is a good friend and has done such a great job in our Flint neighborhood. And as we begin to prioritize neighborhoods and really reinvest in our neighborhoods through our streetscape plans, our street reconstructions, our facade upgrade program, which matches monies that private businesses are going to put into their facades, and a few other things that we're working on, we're really excited about the Flint. It's such a beautiful part of our community. I believe it has the most businesses, the most merchants of any other district in the city, which is really incredible. And you look at some of the old photos of the Flint, and you see the history that's there and the spirit of an economic engine that it once was, and I think can be again, as we see some new businesses pop up in that area. So we're very excited.
The Fall
We
River
have Carlos Caesar,
Diocese
the
has
president
put together
here.
a survey
We have Bruno
for
Pereira,
parishioners
who is
in an
a
effort to see
marketing
what types
consultant
of
and has done an
changes
excellent
need to
job.
be
He's
made
taken on a
to
project
ensure
here in the Flint.
congregants are
He's from the
being
Flint.
well served
And
by
I'd like
their
both of them to say a few
individual
words
churches.
today, and then we'll go over the map. But just a great piece of news today, very positive. You have a neighborhood, a part of a neighborhood that really were people that consider themselves to be part of the Flint already, but unfortunately, when you look at the neighborhood map, we're not part of the Flint neighborhood. So they contacted Carlos, and he made it happen.
Flint Neighborhood Association President Carlos Caesar also made his thoughts known on the new map plan.
This was done a little over a year ago, and was something that the last administration didn't feel right to do it. Don't ask me the reasons, but the thing is, during the Flanagan administration, they line up the neighborhoods with different colors so people could identify themselves which neighborhoods they belong to. And part of that Flint section, where people call themselves the Flint, was not part of that map.
Mayor Correa also took time to explain the new expanded map.
As you can see here, you have the Flint in the purplish color, and then in the middle you have the Merchants area, and then you have the white right to the right. So all those streets have now been adopted into the Flint neighborhood. So you see an addition of 30 plus streets into the Flint, and they're going to get some great representation by Carlos and the board there, and they're going to be able to participate in a lot of different events. Of course they can, even if they're not part of the neighborhood, but now it'll be a little bit more formal. So we're very happy about that, and you can see the new full map, if you want to bring over the other map, with all of our different neighborhoods. So you'll see down in the corner, the right-hand corner, we've now covered that all in blue. And I think we're going to be looking at some of the other neighborhoods that might be left out of others. But for now, this is a great start to that mission.
The Fall River Diocese has put together a survey for parishioners in an effort to see what types of changes need to be made to ensure congregants are being well served by their individual churches.
line you said was May 31st, but it's been extended.
But it's been extended. It's been extended to June 15th to give more people time to respond, although the response rate has been very good. What's going on along with this parishioner survey is a more detailed one that our pastors are doing with what we kind of call a core group of parishioners, and that's involves a little bit more time, and so in order to give that group more time to do it, they've extended it to the 15th, as well as to let our parishioners have a couple more weeks to do it. So the important thing is for people to take 15 minutes to go do it, submit it, and hopefully, you know, over the summer all the information will be compiled and then reviewed by the task force, and then in October we'll have some kind of report on just what the surveys have told us.
And what kind of questions are on the surveys? Like just generally speaking?
Well, you know, how if folks feel that the parish, you know, plans well enough for liturgies, decent homilies, is music ministry inspiring and helping our folks to worship? Are our ministers prepared? Do our folks think that parishes do enough to try to reach community in need? How does a parish do that? How do parishioners think a parish could do it better? What about our faith formation programs? How well run are they? Is there something for an adult in his 40s who wishes to, you know, faith formation doesn't end at confirmation. Are there programs in place for adults or for retirees? All those kinds of things that look upon all kinds of areas. And I would guess that, you know, parishioners will look at it and see from their own parish experience where their own place is very strong in some areas, and maybe, you know, think, oh, gee, we don't do that. Maybe it'd be a good thing if we did that.
For more information and access to that diocese survey, parishioners can go to fallriverdiocese.org. We'll have more FRC Media News right after this.
This is Iris. Iris has just turned 3 recently. She's a very sweet dog. Mostly she just lays around. She likes to be with people, but she's not overly playful. Though you can get her revved up and she'll play a little bit. But yeah, mostly she just likes to be with people.
Because we have a beautiful young lady, 2.5 years old, who's lived most of her life on the streets and has had litter upon litter. Now she has a chance to have a happy home, but she's not as interactive as most cats that we have here. She will test you as far as how much interaction you'll get back from her, but she is very food motivated, but would prefer a house with no other animals in it. Meet Sesame.
Welcome back. A music festival comprised of 30 bands will be held at the Liberal Club next month. The massive fundraising event is sponsored by a newly formed nonprofit group called South Coast Arts Community. City Councilor Richard Cabeceras serves as the clerk for the organization and explains the concept of what the organization calls the full sensory experience.
We're planning on impacting everybody's senses, whether it be their sense of smell, touch, whether it be their sense of taste, their sense of sight, or their sense of, I'm missing one.
Yes, there's 5. There's 5.
There's
okay.
5 senses.
There's 5, yes.
But all senses are going to be impacted, whether it be the smells of the food, the taste of the food or the beer, the sounds of the music, the visual impact of the artists. You're going to, and I'm still missing that 5th one.
Tactile.
There you go, touch. And you're going to be able to touch things.
Like we could touch the poster here, and this is the Troy City Rising poster.
So every single one of your senses is going to be impacted, and that's why we're calling it a full sensory festival. I think it's important that we promote local art and local music, where people who are writing local music are going to be able to get up there and play the stuff that they've written. And I think that long term, this could turn into something that people will attract people to the area.
That's excellent. And Tom, I know you're a committee member, but I know you're also very well known in the greater Fall River community and elsewhere for your music and for your artistic ability, you and your family.
Thank you.
So, and you're wearing green, which is just a very complimentary color, by the way. So with that said, what would you like to add to the event?
I'm really impressed by the who comprises the committee, because it's a diverse array of people who bring real talent to the table in their outlook and vision for this event and this nonprofit. There are several different types of artists on the committee, and Erica brings a brilliant legal mind, so we're able to really exploit her strategies, you know, and try to form this festival. And I'm so impressed by everybody's input. It's genuine, and to be part of something like this is, after all, this is our first endeavor with a new concept, so that's not easy to launch. And because we're able to coalesce the way we have, I'm so impressed with that.
The music festival will be held between 1 p.m. and 11 p.m. on Sunday, June 5th. For more information, visit TroyCityRising.com. On another note, Fall River residents who want to enjoy the great outdoors can do so right here in our city, as we hear in this report.
There's 7,800 acres of land here, and some is open to the public. Is that correct?
Yeah, the majority of it is. We're sitting here at the north. Where we're sitting here at the Watuppa Reservation headquarters, which is on Blossom Road, all of the land to the east of Blossom Road is open to the public for hiking, for mountain biking, and hunting, and actually the Copacabana Reservoir is open for shoreline fishing.
Now let's talk about the trails. Let's just start with the fact that we have 7,800 acres. That may be overwhelming for some people. Talk about the Bunny Loop.
So yeah, there's so much land, there's so many trails. Like, where do you begin? So especially for people who are not wood savvy, who haven't really spent a lot of time in the woods, we have a parking lot on Blossom Road, which is just south of the headquarters, and so you could park, and then you could go on what we call the Bunny Loop, which, you know, think of bunny, think of the Bunny Slope in New Hampshire. It's a 1 mile loop. It's a closed loop. And it has mile markers every 10th of a mile with a little iconic bunny on it. And it's a good place to start. It's a good place to walk with kids and just get a feel for what the trails are like and the trail experience.
Now, speaking of the trail experience, you mentioned before that it was sort of in the shape of a balloon.
Yeah, so you've got, everyone knows a loop trail begins and ends at the same place and goes in a more or less circle. A balloon trail is that same loop, but on the way to the loop is the balloon string. So you've got a sort of a straight trail which goes to the loop, and it's just an easy concept for people to pick up on. You just follow the string to the balloon, and the balloon is the loop, and then you follow the string back to the parking lot.
The nice thing about the Bunny Loop is that it is family-oriented.
How long is it? And you don't have to make a reservation at the reservation, do you?
Not at all. It's about a mile long, a little shy of a mile, just by coincidence, and I think it makes a nice it's a nice benchmark distance.
And it's manageable. Like, you can say, okay, I could walk a mile with my family, so to speak.
Yeah, it's relatively flat. There's a little bit of rocks, and it's mostly a single lane trail. There are a couple of places where it widens out, but it's relatively flat. It's sort of a great beginner sort of territory.
And finally, the Fall River Public Library is gearing up for their summer reading program. FRCmedia caught up with library administrator Laurel Clark.
Obviously, reading is very important for any age group, adults included, obviously. So I will hand you the microphone, and you could just explain a little bit about why Rockland made the choice to sponsor this event.
Absolutely. Thank you for letting us help you out again this summer. Rockland Trust believes in investing in our community, and I don't think there's a better way to invest than to come out here to the children's programs at the library. David does a phenomenal job, and you do a phenomenal job. Last year, I think, I've seen a record number of children. The lawn was full. So it's just a great opportunity for them and for us to invest back to them, to encourage them to read, to encourage them to come out and take advantage of the programs that they have here at the library. So that's why we come back each year. I think we've been doing it since, I think, about 2008. So it's been a fabulous partnership.
Great programs. And if I could mention a few more, we're doing our famous teddy bear picnic, and that will be Tuesday, August 2nd at 11 a.m. And children are encouraged to bring their teddy bears. We have a parade. We have teddy bear doctors. We have all sorts of stuff for teddy bears. So we that's going to be a big program, and also we'll have a special guest. It will be Teddy Roosevelt will come and talk about the story of the teddy bear. So that we're looking forward to that. And then finally, we have not finally, but another one is Family Night, and that's going to be one of our evening programs. That's at 6 o'clock on August 11th, and there'll be face painting. That's Melvis the Monkey will be there again, balloon sculpting, and we'll also have some a magic performance by Steve Rudolph and Blues Crew performing music family.
In addition to the library's reading program, Rockland Trust is also offering its own reading program this summer.
Rockland Trust has a summer reading program for children going in grades 1 through 8. And again, because we just love to encourage them to read as well. So what happens is they get $2.50 for each book they read, up to 10 books. They have to read initially 4 books to get their first credit, but they can certainly coincide with the books they're reading here, so it's a fabulous opportunity. So they just want to stop at any of our locations and grab a journal, and what they do is just either draw a picture, depending on their skill level, draw a picture or write a paragraph about the book that they read. Their parent will initial or guardian will sign off on it. They bring it in, we stamp it, and we deposit, again, up to $25 in a savings account for them. We have new customers every year, and returning customers, they love it. They love to come back and add to their savings account. So just some statistics, in 2015, we had over 1,600 students, and they read over 16,500 books. So again, it's just a great opportunity to link up with your summer reading program as well. And again, that's we start June 30th and we run through August 31st. And then again, it's grades 1 through 8, going into grades 1 through 8.
That's all for this edition of FRC Media News. You can catch FRC Media News Thursdays and Fridays at 6 p.m. And our online resource is available 24/7 at frcmedianews.org. For all of us here at FRC Media News, I'm Keith Tebow. Enjoy the Memorial Day weekend, and we'll see you next Thursday.